Nah, I'm two different pages here, you know.
Okay.
Wendy, who is going to close a whole lot of deals for career changers. What are your feelings and thoughts? You've been on the floor, you've been involved with your father, you've seen a million BDC deals go north or south. What are your feelings and thoughts on the best way to close a deal?
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna switch it up, surprise, surprise. I'm gonna give you the BDC take because I sell appointments, not cars. So I think it's a very unappreciated skill. I think that post-COVID sales teams know not of how to sell variety and options. They always turn the call into an inventory call. They never express things like, yeah, that Hyundai Sonata is available as well as several close matches, you know, come on in, blah, blah, blah. When they don't want to come in, you sell an inventory tour, an information day. But most importantly, what you have to do is you have to do it in stages. You have to start establishing rapport at the very onset when you get the lead or the opportunity. And there's a company called Gravitational Marketing. When I was with Greg Goebel, way back, even before when I hired on with them, back in like 2010, 2011, when the rich dealers were very prevalent, anyone who remembers, they had a great script, a great series of things that they asked, they broke it up. And Brittany Hibden, may she rest in peace, was a really, really strong supporter of this thing. What she did is they broke it down into a discovery stage, okay? And this works especially well for subprime, which there's a growing number of subprime customers too, right? You have to set the stage, you have to set the expectation, you have to do it at the onset when you're establishing rapport, you have to provide value so that you earn the right to ask for the appointment, you have to ask for it early and often, and it starts out with a discovery stage. Are you looking for a car for yourself or someone else? Did you just start looking today or you've been looking for a while? Up until now, what's kept you from owning your ideal vehicle? What does that tell you? Everything you need to know. Do I have the decision maker? Did you just start out? Is this going to be potentially a lengthy process? And then what is your objection? Like whatever the ones you guys just mentioned. Then you bump to solutions, right? Then you bump to the close of the appointment, and then you do the appointment wrap so you know they're committed and they're going to show up and they're not just trying to shut you up to get you off the phone.
Hey, Wendy, excuse me, but instead of all these objections too, one of the great ways to turn it around and get them thinking positively is to say, hey, what did you like best about the car you're driving now? Because now you're looking for a positive thing.
And that adds on to the discovery phase. Absolutely. And are you planning on trading in your current vehicle or just adding this vehicle? And then you can ask them information about the trade, et cetera, et cetera. The more information we can gather in the beginning before they cross that threshold to the show floor, where you're going to let sales do what they do best, is you want to like arm them. And the reason I mention options for inventory, not just a vehicle, is it'll give you an opportunity to switch them into an aged vehicle, an aged unit, or something that would serve their needs as well. And when you do your needs analysis and your meet and greet on the show floor, so I think all these things are super important. Yes.
Yep. So when you're doing your BDC and stuff like that, to nail it on the head, up and above asking for the sale, which is a different thing. What's the one beautiful line that you use that you would get to book that appointment? Like you must have one that's your go-to. What's the one
Absolutely.
second? Yeah, what is it?
So,
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So they all think that they don't want to come in because they don't want to spend all day either trying to get approved or trying to do a locate or whatever the case may be. So let's do this, Mr. Customer. I understand you just started, you're looking around, you're blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. Let's do this. And then you can call it an information day or an inventory tour. Let's bring you in for an inventory tour, or let's bring you in for an information day. No obligation. All I need is 30 to 45 minutes of your time, Mr. Customer. Within 30 to 45 minutes of your arrival, we'll go over all your vehicle and financing options, and you'll have everything you need to make an educated buying decision. You have 30 minutes, don't you?
That's beautiful. Perfect.
That's it.
Yeah. Love it. Hey, Garrett, I'd like just go, we're going in sequence, either you or Abdul first, whoever like to jump in, and then the other.
I'll be more than
it's going to be Gary and then you, Abdul. Get ready.
Got it. So Thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to be here. I got my partner next to me, Tucker, creating havoc, chewing up everything in my office in the basement. So if you ever see me jump up, he's eating something again. Process. I think that process is the most important thing in an auto dealership. And I'll go back to 1993, where I was working for Herb Chambers, Mitsubishi in Hartford, Connecticut. Average FICO score 600, maybe even lower. And Harold Oliver was my sales manager. And we had to come up with a process to make sure that we were able to teach our salespeople how to handle customers and their objections. So Harold was the first one to come up with what we refer to as a guest survey. And that guest survey I still use today, because what we learned back then is no different than today. When a customer walks into their showroom, they're petrified. They're petrified if you're going to lie to them, you're going to steal, they're going to get taken advantage. And the role today of the sales professional is to make them feel like family and make them learn that you're an advocate and that you know this wonderful process that has been developed by the dealership, by the owner, by the management. And with all this being said, is if you don't have it written down, it's not a process. And I go back, what am I? I'm going to date, so we're in 25, that was 33 years ago. Nothing has changed. You have customers that want to come in and purchase a vehicle. Some of them want to do the whole transaction online, and they're capable and they're credit worthy. Give it to them. But then the customers that need help, you have to have a process. And the process is meet and greet and sell yourself, sell the dealership, sell the service department. So you never get into, when you offer the final, you're not going through the objections. What's
your go-to, Gary? What's your go-to up and above all that?
There's not a go-to.
At the end, with like, what would you say?
But see, the go-to starts way before I walk into a dealership.
100%.
And if the dealer is not committed, then we don't have anything. And so my go-to is that if you don't have dealer commitment, dealer involvement, senior management, leaders running the show, it's never going to change. So, for many, many years, my arrogance was, I'll stay out of those stores because they're too chaotic. Well, now, today, everybody needs help. And everybody needs a process that has been agreed upon. How businesses run today, the leaders make the decisions amongst themselves, and they agree, and then they train the staff on the process, and then they train, and then when they can't do it, then they got to call in Larry Feldman and say, can you please clean up my showroom? And what Larry's going to do is go and teach everybody how to be sales professionals again. And with what we just went through for the last 20 years, the last 5 years, sales is sales. It's belly to belly. And today we can start online. Very intelligent people want to start online, but they still want to come in there and sit in their brand new car. And they want to
What's your
see
go-to,
themselves.
Gary?
I'm sorry?
I'm the choir. I'm agreeing with everything you said.
No.
I'm agreeing to everything you've said.
And so today we have to take away the objection from the people who just don't make any sense. if they had a reason and they could give you a reason for it. Otherwise, the dealer has to install a process and everybody needs to adapt and grow. Now we have technology, and I'll land my plane from here. The cell phone will revolutionize auto sales. Sales professionals, F&I managers, dealers, GMs better get used to using their cell phone, because that's where the sales are going to take off to.
Wendy had a thought there. Go ahead, Wendy. You're muted.
You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Hold that
It was
thought.
such great.
It was
so
animated.
good. All together now.
Yeah.
What's your go-to, Gary?
Yeah, what do you say when you ask for the sale?
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
What
we
seals
know
the
all
deal
the
for
other
you?
stuff. We're all the choir here.
When do you want to pick it up?
Okay, that can work.
I like it.
That actually can work.
All right, I had to think about that. I had to put on my sales hat.
Yeah.
Which color did you want? Or
Which color do we have?
Okay, I got you.
When do you want to put it in the driveway? Okay, there's a lot of those
You guys lack imagination. How about, would you do me a favor? I lost about $400 cash in one of the seats. If you find it, would you please call me? That'll put it.
Okay, Larry. Larry, I'll put you on the. You can go on Yup Get Ups now.
All right, let's get we got a lot of good
Hello,
folks.
Hussein.
Yeah, we got Hussein there. He's been very quiet. Yeah, he's been very quiet.
Hussein or Abdul, whoever wants to go first.
Yeah. Well, it's great to be with all of you as usual, and it's always a learning process, and it brings up some great memories, because in the 90s, when I started, early 90s, I was fortunate enough to be with dealerships, both at the Honda dealership and at Cerritos Auto Mall. With the dealerships with inventory was never a problem, or majority of the time it wasn't a problem. So the thing that I learned the most is to greet. The meet and greet is where it started the most for myself, and acknowledging the wife, because that was the first thing I always did, was because she.
Abdul, everybody in this program agrees with you. Because we all know Bruce Springsteen is a liar. He calls himself the boss. The boss is Mr.
She's the
Springsteen.
boss.
You
And
turn the woman off, your deal is
that's it.
done.
That's-
And you step away confidently, and she's gonna
Especially in
do
the
the right thing.
90s,
Let's go.
a majority of the salespeople will go and shake hands with the husband first, or the man first, and complimenting the children if the children was with them, and then of course is the 10-step
Any
sales
salesman
process.
that shakes the man's hand before the woman is living proof that when they asked Einstein what's the difference between genius and stupidity, he says genius has its limits.
Right.
There is no cap on stupidity. If you don't acknowledge the woman first and not talk down to her, you're
Yeah.
done. And the crazy thing is, these dopes that do that don't even realize they just killed their own deal. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No problem. And being in straight sales, and that really toughened me up, is that when I became changed to the Cerritos Auto Mall and became a closer or team manager, is one of the things that I taught my salespeople, is also that the minute they met their customer and greeted their customer, then I would be also greeting them as well, and let them know that they're in good hands with the right person. Will show them the inventory, and I always emphasize to be on the right car and the right color and the right price range. You know,
I just want to jump in really quick. When
Sure.
did you start? What years were that? What years were you?
91, February of 91 at Gaudi Honda in Alhambra.
And
And
you mentored many young men and women, old men, and see, just by you being by their side, you instilled confidence in your people, as
Yeah.
opposed to what they get today, as
Yeah.
opposed to walking to the desk and getting it beat up. And so I commend you, and that's where it was. We learned back
And
then.
the thing I told the desk, the sales managers, that the buck stops with me. And if anything went wrong in the process, it was my fault. So they would leave my salespeople alone. And that would be part of my training, is to make sure, first of all, they test drove the right color, right car, right price range. And then when it came to the trade-in value, like you said, and not only I asked what you like best in the present car that you have, but what would you like to have in the next vehicle that you're looking for? Because with the upgrade of technology and everything else in the latter part of the year, of course, you have dual airbags and you have backup cameras and you have a lot of other stuff that would come in.
Abdul, and I'll go back with Wendy agreed with me a little bit.
Right.
What was your best line that you used to use when you asked for the sale?
Well,
What was your best line?
One of the best lines, well, of course, once they got done, I would always say, how was the test drive? And they said, I loved it. And when we sat down and we worked the numbers, it was always about how much down, how much a month. Majority of the time, the price.
Did you have something you used to like to say?
Yeah. When they said what was the price,
For you.
I said, don't worry about the price. The price will take care of itself, depending on how much down and how much a month is in your budget, in your affordability range. And if something was off, then I would know whether it's the vehicle or it's the price, and if it's the budget. You know, if they say it's the budget, then I would say, okay, let's look at lower, and do a takeaway. So if you do a takeaway, no, I like what I have in this car. I said, well, then you need to help me out. So we could make this happen for us today. And being in California on spot delivery, majority of the time, we never believed in the be-back bus because, you want to make the delivery right then and there. But the biggest thing is the process that started. That was my biggest advantage in the beginning. Of knowing that if it starts right, it ends right. If it starts wrong, it ends wrong.
Excellent. Hussein, let's get to you, and then my boys Russell and Jeff.
Hussein's got a lot to say, I bet. But okay.
Well, I was I ran a Mazda dealership, and we sold over 600 used cars, one price a year. We're number one in Canada in Mazda sales. So I had to develop a way to sell cars without going into price and selling the value first. So, like the gentleman said, process is the king. It has to be process. So I already knew, we already know what customers are going to ask for. And our thing was to give them everything that they would possibly ask for before they asked for it.
That's good.
That was would you agree?
Whole process.
Would you agree that revolves around listening more than talking?
Yeah.
I mean, you already know when the customer there's a right way of doing it. The steps are the same. Meet and greet, qualify, test drive, all these things are still the same. But you already know what your customers are. First thing they're going to ask you is, as soon as they look at the car, they're going to say, well, how much are the monthly payments? Like we would give payments out. And we'd tell customers, we'll give you a no trade obligation. No obligation trade appraisal. Would you like me to do that for you? And we would just do all these things before they asked for. And like we didn't have a sales sheet, we had a guest requirement sheet, and we'd ask their requirements, and we turned the whole sale upside down pretty much. But it was the same process. But it was a process, and we had a script, and that's what we practiced. That's when we weren't busy, it was just practicing the same thing, and trying to flow.
And that's how you got better. And everybody helped each other, and they all hardwired the scripts, and they were able to grow, and then they were able to sell more cars and feel more confident, and all the wonderful things that we see.
You get the same objections over and over.
Absolutely.
So nothing in the showroom should be a surprise.
Yeah,
nothing.
Absolutely.
There is
and
nothing
management should be there to support their people, right?
Hey, Garrett, I had a thought, since we all agree it's the same objections. Would it be tougher in Utah where polygamy is allowed and a guy would have to say, I have to talk to my wives instead of my wife?
That's a whole different one.
If your wives were here, what do you think they would say?
Hey, Hussein, notice as soon as I said multiple wives, Ron Boss showed up. There's some scandal deep in his background. We're not quite sure what it is, but maybe he can illuminate, elucidate.
That's
Mr.
why he's
Boss,
not on camera.
Yeah. It's America's Most Wanted. Ron, we're talking about how to close the deal. For anybody that doesn't know, Ron owns a terrific dealership in New Jersey. You can't be more hands-on than this guy. In the shop, on the sales floor. This guy knows his customers. He knows his people. Ron, any thoughts on closing, my buddy?
He's muted and not on camera, so give him a sec.
Ron, as soon as you figure out what those damn buttons mean, we'll get back to you. Russell Hill, you know how to unmute. What do you think?
So, say too.
I got a couple jokes here. I took snapshots. I just wanted to share with you. Hope I get a chuckle out of somebody. Love many, trust you, always paddle your own canoe. I thought that was pretty good. Here's the wife says, I'm pissed. The husband says, again or still? You know? And here's another one. I know how it will all end for me. One of my kids will unplug my life support to charge their cell phone.
Right.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was good. I hate it when I go to the kitchen looking for food and all I find are ingredients. Okay, you've heard that. I told my wife she should embrace her mistakes, so she hugged me.
Yeah.
I had my patience tested and I tested negative, so I thought it was pretty good. Anyway, not a lot of chuckles.
I failed that test of patience.
Yeah, listen, it took me a long while to learn it, but I was very fortunate and blessed that it's all about process. There's a road to the sale. It's duplicatable, it's scalable, and when you deviate from it, all it does is cost you gross, repeat, referral, CSI, and SSI every single time. All the objections are the same. Depends on the situation. You should have some, your best price. All my customers want the best price. I get it. But let me assure you one thing. I'm going to assure you one thing. I have never lost a deal over price if that is the vehicle they really wanted to own. The hardest part is selecting. I can go on and there's so many of them. But it's all about, for me up front, on the hello. It starts with the hello. But getting engaged really quick. There are some really subtle psychological things that were already mentioned here. If the wife and kids are there, man, it's always the wife first, period, the end. Get those people talking, make them feel comfortable. If they like you, they trust you, they believe you, they're going to buy from you. Make them feel comfortable, put them into the process so you don't deviate from it. Answer the questions along the way. We don't have to get defensive about them because we hear them all the time. They just don't know what they don't know. And they're uncomfortable, so they ask. But if they sense that you're not confident and you're not convicted in your answers, they feel that. And that aura, whatever it is, but the actions aren't matching the words, that makes it really hard to close deals. So you got to be up. But if you get them talking, what I found is they'll tell you everything you need to know if you're listening of what it takes to close that deal.
Right on.
You inspired me there.
Here, Russell.
Hey, Russell, I'm going to throw a great close in. And I think I told you this before, but I think since this is a closing show, it bears repeating.
Come on.
I was in Virginia a couple years ago. It's 2.5 years now. And it should have been like just the smoothest gig of all time because I have done training for them in recruiting, and now they just wanted me to come and pump up the troops.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was into it. Good audience. They were listening. They were paying attention. One guy didn't want to be in the room.
Right.
And he gets up and says, let me ask you a question. I'll edit myself so there's no swear jar. If you're so effing smart, what do you say to the guy that says, why should I buy from you instead of the other Chrysler dealer? And he pointed to the manager in the room. He said, because he doesn't have a good answer. And we all know the drill. Well, you should buy from me because I'm a nice guy. So is the other guy. Well, I'll give you 3 free oil changes. He'll give me 5. Next thing they do is start dropping the price. So I looked the guy in the eye. I'm better off the cuff than with a script. And I said, why don't you try telling them you're greedy? So the class started to laugh. They figured I was having a breakdown. I said, don't laugh. You be the customer, I'll be you. Okay, why should I buy from you instead of the other Chrysler dealer? Because I'm greedy. He says, that sounds like BS. I said, does it? I bet you're just like me and you bought something from somebody. Didn't have to be a car. Could have been a chair, a fancy watch, a big screen TV. They were your best friend to get your money, and then when you had a problem, you couldn't find them. I hate that, don't you? He says, I do hate that. Well, that guy wasn't greedy. All he wanted to do was sell you one chair, one TV. I want to sell everybody you ever met your life vehicle. I'm going to be your personal concierge. Sir, you always want to buy from people who are greedy in the sense that they'll keep you happy to get more of your money.
Yeah.
I think if we think out of the box, if we talk to people the same way we do when we are with our friends, when we do want to have fun, it's easy because unfortunately, a lot of the training they threw at us was scripted to the point where it almost didn't matter what they said, just say this. But I think if we can be looser, if we can be more conversational, based around being great listeners, I think
Larry,
we get.
Larry, you can't teach that, buddy. You almost can't teach what you just said because people like you and everybody on this screen, myself included, some of us really do have a little bit of a natural ability for what you just said. It's so hard to teach that. I mean,
You don't know this, Darren, but since I last spoke to you, the people on the show insisted that I go to a medical center and get tested. And the good news is I am not mentally ill. The bad news is I'm a carrier of mental illness. So you should all be careful. All right, listen.
So it's me, the machine, or the money. I called them the 3 M's. So I don't know about 4 reasons. It's either me, the machine, or the money. That's what it is.
I love it. Jeff Shearer, man, I can't wait to hear what you have to say on this subject.
I found my microphone, so I can come back.
Hello, there, Ron. Hello.
We're back to Ron Boss.
I can't see anything.
Ron Boss is my all-time favorite Chrysler dealer, and I know 100 of them. But luckily, he owns a dealership and isn't a tech guy because he'd go broke. Took him 20 minutes to hit the unmute button. This better be good, boss. Go ahead.
All right, well, listen, man. First of all, I got a new phone, and I lost half the stuff, so I had no idea. I'm literally sitting here trying to.
That's why you don't buy an iPhone with a rotary dial. Do I have to tell you everything?
Right now. I know. Well, you think broken this so long. What's the question?
Hold on. My wife and and her cat are getting into the picture.
Hi, Louis.
Hey.
Hi, Sue.
Louis wants to say hi to Ron.
Yeah. Hello. Louis does not look happy.
Hey, who wants to say hi to Tucker?
There we go.
Me.
Getting big, kid.
The cats. We're going to the cats and dogs here.
There we go. All right, I'm sorry we got sidetracked by my lovely wife. Ron, please continue, and then we'll hear from Mr. Shearer. He's back on the damn mute button. Ron?
He lost his phone.
There you go. No, I'm here. I got it. There you go.
There you go, my
There
brother.
it is.
Ron,
So-
your hands on, you're in the shop, you're in, we're talking about the basics, the listening to people, the showing that you care, to building up a base, asking questions like, what did you like most about your last vehicle? What little tricks and little things have you picked up that you think are immutable that have to be there?
I think it's just being intentional, being friendly. Just and it goes across the board. It's not just your customers, but your people. You hear it is kind of maybe loosely used a lot about culture and whatnot. But I do think it's important, especially leading by example. I'll give you an instance, just something that happened the other day that it wasn't necessarily customer related, but it was to prove a point to my whole staff. So one of the challenges we had is getting parts for cars. It's really no secret, and there's this one particular part for a car that we had approved, signed up, ready. I can't deliver it because I need this part. And it's on back order, whole 9 yards. So back and forth to the manufacturer, so on and so forth. So I had to think out of the box a little bit. And we also have this thing where you can search on your, you can do almost like a dealer locate, but it's a parts locate. I don't understand it yet because I haven't been in parts, that's my next venture. But the point is, I said, you know what, I need this part. So I reached out and I sent a message to my 20 group. And I said, look, I know this is a tough part. I can't get it. If you have it, you're willing to give up, great. If you don't, I understand. Believe me, no hard feelings. And I actually put in the message, if I don't ask, I don't get. So within an hour, one of the dealers, she's up in New York, she actually called around her area, found me the dealer that had the part, sent me the link, said, here, call this dealer, ask for this guy, tell her you were talking to my parts manager. whatever, so and so forth. And so, you know, I ended up getting the part, and then it was like, but it was an impossible feat. And when I say impossible, it was like, I don't know, like I had to go the extra, and I was willing to go the extra, but I had to think out of the box a little bit. And, you know, it was one of these things where, you know, so many, sometimes you just get tired of being told no, or it can't be done. And then that's when it becomes the challenge. And it's no different with customers. Like, I'm not saying you can close every deal, but sometimes, you know, you get them where they're like, we got nothing here in this, that, and the other. Like, look, man, you got to get up, you got to get off the seat, you got to get talking, you got to figure out how to break the ice a little bit. And a lot of times when you dig into something, you find it's doable, it's possible, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't happen every time. I mean, listen, I could have been told no, but I will tell you that if they were to found me the part, with quick backstory, her husband, then they're in the car visit together, he apparently is in the video games, and he bought something online, and it was in like the next town over. And when he bought it, he didn't realize like he had to go pick it up. So he called, he said, "Are you near this town, whatever?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you pick, you know," I said, "I'll pay you." I said, "I don't want anything." I said, it's on the way, one of my drivers. I said, "I'll just put it away and then when you drive down and pick it up." So it's kind of like, you know, just an act of kindness, you know, amongst the core people that, you know, I am, you know, associated with. You know, that person really went out of their way for me. You know, they didn't have to do that. And everybody gets, I'm not, you know, good luck, this, that, and the other. But I do like to believe that, you know, what you put out there, what you can do for somebody does return back.
It's
What you reap is what you sow, brother.
It's called the rule of reciprocation, and that's a wonderful story, Ron, because if that dealer called you for anything, you're gonna jump right to it. I mean, that's you don't never take no for an answer, because there's a solution somewhere. Someone just has to try. I think that's awesome.
100%.
Ron, thanks for joining in. Ian, let's hear what you got to say, and then let's jump to Jeff Shear. I don't want to.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I remember years ago I sold this minivan, and this guy, he had 6 kids, and he wanted this feature that wasn't available on that van. And it was really about working with a third-party supplier who could make it happen for him, because it was a deal killer. If you couldn't get it done, there was no deal. And it was one of these things where it's like every other deal in the area just wasn't willing to get it done. And you can get these things done.
What was the missing component, Dean?
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think it was a plug-in for his iPhone so he could put music into the car, and didn't have that feature at the time. Like, it wasn't available. So you had to do some fancy wiring with the harness in the actual van to put that in. It wasn't easy to do.
I thought it was something
could be done.
because you said he had 6 kids.
Yeah, he had 6 kids, so he had to buy a new van because the other one didn't have seats for 6. That was part of it. But this other thing was this feature he wanted.
That's because you're in Canada, where they're nicer. In Trenton, we would have just traded in 2 kids.
What was the other? Oh yeah, he wanted run flat tires that weren't available on that car. Was the other feature that we had to figure out how to do for him. But it's all good. He didn't want his wife on the side of the road with the car, for obvious reasons.
Jeff, what is your? You've had a lot of time to collect your thoughts here, my brother.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I have 3 things. So what if when we do the greeting, that let's call that the first step to the close. And that doesn't mean jump right to the close, but that's the first step to the close, because we set it up here. I think Hassan, how do you pronounce it, sir?
Hassan
said it's process, you know? So the first step in my process is the first step to the close. Second thing is, and I think Ian, some of this when I jumped on, and you might have been talking something similar, but if we know that the common objections, call it 3, call it 5, or whatever that is, 4.
Sometimes 3. Sometimes 3.
Let's put those out up front.
Yeah.
Let's head them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I say this about EVs.
Oh yeah.
You know, the first fear people have is, oh, I'm going to run out of battery and I'm going to get stuck. So maybe the first thing that I talk about is, hey, you know, there's in this area, you know, every 3/4 of a mile, there's a charging station, and, you know, Do you know how many miles you get in a tank of gas? Well, no, I don't. It's usually about 250. This thing will go 325 on a full charge. Okay, so I mean, put the objections out there first, because then when it comes to the close, guess what? You've already handled them.
100%.
I like that.
Also, what you got to remember, and this is something a lot of people don't look at, is 80% of customers are payment buyers in most cases. Not only that, what's their payment and price expectation? Probably what they were doing last time. So if you have an understanding of what features they had and what their payment was when they walk in, what are they going to be expecting? A similar payment. And 80% of the time it's payment driven. 80%.
Every buyer in the last 10 years that bought a car still wanted a $350 a month payment.
Exactly.
Car, right?
Exactly. Well, I want to be at 350 with no money down.
Yeah, right. And then,
No problem. We still have that 27-year adjustable mortgage. You're gonna love living in your car. Hey, you know what? She's one of the best marketers I know, and closes plenty of people. Rhonda, what are your thoughts on closing deals?
let
This
me
doesn't have
finish
to be
I got one more point if I can.
One more point. Absolutely.
So I used to be in the marine business, marketing and selling boats. And the best closer in the marine business was when you take the wife before you're asked for the sale and you put her in that used yacht that they're looking at, let her walk into the head.
Right.
And as soon as she gets a whiff, she says, honey, we need to buy a new boat.
Yeah.
Best closer there was.
I had that problem on the weekend on my boat, for God's sake. Someone came in the cabin and they said, your bathroom smells funny. I said, it's a boat. And you're a guest.
Rhonda, did you have any thoughts? We're almost out of time, actually, shockingly.
Yeah, I don't sell cars. That's my problem. But basically, I network pretty seriously, and for me to sell even a website takes a while, and there's like a lot of levels there. First of all, I need to develop a relationship because it's just not going to happen. I need to show my portfolio. I need to show them through audits or whatever else what's wrong with their current site. And I don't need to sell price because I'm darn cheap. So, essentially, that's my process. And then we answer questions. I mean, we have a woman who was 3 weeks ago, I'm interested. Okay. Then we give her the whole spiel, our whole sales pitch, and we tell her the price. And then I'll talk to my husband. Okay, she comes back a week later with a list of questions, and we answer that. And she did it again this week with another list of questions. And I can't imagine those questions turned her off. I think we answered them the right way for her liking. She wanted to make sure there weren't any hidden costs, no monthly fees, things like that. So, basically, it's my product and the way I present myself.
Fantastic. Well, we have about 7 minutes left, so maybe everyone can share the best close they've ever heard, whether it's from them or somebody else for any product.
Well, I have a question for Darren.
Yeah.
Since he's a boater, you've been to the boat show, and we don't call them tire kickers, we call them hull thumpers.
Oh,
And then you've also seen the whistling gophers. Boy, what's a boat like that go for?
Yeah.
way too much.
Even anyway, yeah, we talked about the boat. We'll talk about the boats later.
Well, Darren, isn't the line if you have to ask, you can't afford it?
That too. And you want to know what? I had someone on the weekend offer to give me gas money. And I've got two 454 V8s in that thing. And I just look at them and go, I don't even know what to say. It's like, they're pulling out $50. And it's like, oh my God, it cost me $50 to turn on one motor.
You can use the gas gauge as a speedometer.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll be up there this weekend.
Anyone want to comment on best close?
I'll throw my last one, and if we're going to just wrap it up with the topic.
Yeah, we only got a couple minutes left. Lots of people. Go
I
ahead.
know, but it was asking for the sale / close.
Yeah.
And Rhonda, anybody can use it. I should have used it myself personally the other day, but I really do believe in this line. And it's just something as simple as everything's fine. Yeah, let's forget everything else. But the line would be, if there was anything preventing you from getting the product, what is it? And if you've already got your established rapport and you've had some jokes and laughs and they like you, you like them, they're going to be straight with you. They're going to say, I don't know if I can handle the payment. They're going to tell you, but then address it and then move on.
Darren, the only thing I'd like to add to that is
Yeah.
because I used to use that one all the time. But I
Yeah,
would say
right.
if there was one thing that prevented you from moving forward, because I
Yeah,
wanted
one,
to
yeah.
isolate each one of the objections. And in it, is there anything else that would prevent us from moving forward? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, totally, Russell. You have to fine tune it, but just in a one bang, like a punch.
Yeah.
There's one solid. And I think it could be like, can you sell me a pen concept? I won't go into that, but if there was anything preventing you from buying this pen or these pens today, what would it be? And they say, well, I want 1 million pens. Well, then tell you what, let's figure out a number on that. And are you good to go?
Just
Hey, Darren, it looks like Wendy had her hand raised.
go ahead, Wendy.
You're muted.
Wendy,
Got a mute.
I'll stop talking.
No, she's not muted, but that's weird.
Oh,
Can't get her.
she's upset over that. She had a freaking point to make and bring it on home, babe. But no,
Wait,
How about
wait.
this? Now can you hear
There
me?
you go.
Yeah,
there.
you're good.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
you
good.
were good.
Now you're off.
All
There you
right,
go.
so here, and the beauty of what I'm doing right now, a pattern interrupt. Like when they're in objection mode, like it works in the BDC. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So it works in the BDC. I have somebody do a TO and they're using all the word tracks and they're combating all the objections. They're giving the right rebuttals. They're spot on and they keep going. Then you know what? I just thought of something. And it's the same as you do in the showroom. Can I get my manager on the line or can I bring my manager over or whatever? And then instead of them like prepping me and telling me what the customer objection was, I get on the phone and I go, hi, this is Wendy. I'm one of the managers here. Are you coming in today or tomorrow for your nicer, newer car?
That's
And they're
good.
like, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
And it completely throws them off. And then they have to think, what is their core objection? What's keeping them from coming in or buying the car or doing whatever? You got to use the pattern interrupt. They're so programmed to thinking that they're controlling the conversation. You need to shake them up a bit and bring them back to reality. And that's all.
The pattern of interrupt, I love that. Actually, can I write it down?
Of course you can.
Pattern interrupt.
The other great one that I heard.
About
I've been
every
doing
day.
that.
The other great one I heard years.
Yeah.
The other great one I heard
Yeah.
years ago was lingering questions. I think is a good one. Do you have any lingering questions before we move ahead with this?
The interrupting their pattern thought is
Yeah.
amazing. That's perfect.
Let me have a lingering. Let me have a last minute so we can say goodnight and start wrapping things up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Everybody is great content, but what I hear more is that there's no more scripts. It's just being human. It's being honest. It's having a conversation with somebody and being straight with them. Unfortunately, we all lived 5 years of COVID. All the people who bought cars during COVID are upside down. Now it's up to smart people to start bringing things back to reality and start helping customers with their way out. So looking for that close, other days, we were trained in the 90s with F&I. Today, Wendy talks about being human. They just want to buy a car. They don't want to reinvent the wheel. Help them. Give them the information. Be friendly and move on. And that's where we're at. So I love being on this panel. Everyone's got wonderful ideas because it's all doing better and helping other people grow. So
Right on.
it was great listening to everybody. I look forward to it. Wendy, great. You know, Ian, I always get you. I always struggle with how I'm supposed to refer to you, but
It's okay.
you've been a welcome addition. You've been a
I've
welcome.
never heard of an iron. I don't know what you're talking about. I got a nephew named Ian.
Yeah.
I had
I've
somebody.
never heard of iron.
Well, if you're in Quebec, they call you Yan.
If you spell it right on the check, the IAN part, he doesn't care how you
Yeah.
pronounce
Exactly.
Yeah,
An American money, right?
yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
it.
So the weirdest pronunciation I ever heard was Yan, and that was in Quebec because they didn't quite get the I, but that's fine. It's all good.
And yeah.
Just don't call me Roy.
Or Sue.
While we wait for dinner.
Well, we're out of time, so I appreciate everybody. Thanks for all the great comments on closing. Remember, there's 4 objections. 3 were the same as when people sold horses. They don't change very much. If you get those nailed, it's pretty easy to get it done. But more importantly, isolating them by asking questions and listening, you're going to get it done that way, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
And have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Right.
you.
Love you all.
Be safe. Thanks for joining in.
Well,